Mr. Vincent Botto, Director Recreation and Parks. I understand that colleagues from our neighboring institutions are also present. We've got Mr. Marius Hau from Seaput and Johan Beck from UCT. Also to the campus community who is joining this event through live streaming. Good afternoon. All protocol is now observed. Mani, it's finally arrived. This is really a special day for us. I remember how irritable I was that a discussion on where this plant must be located dominated our executive meeting for almost 2 hours. Just a short while ago, I attended the opening of the Office for Students with Disabilities and saw how well the old Community and Health Sciences building has been repurposed to accommodate the needs of our differently able students. And now I'm here at the UWC Borehole water purification plant, where we will be drinking water made right here at UWC. This project obviously resulted from the water shortages in the city and from what was really a unique collaboration between academics and professional and technical staff to make sure that this campus would not run out of water. The idea of a day zero might seem a long time ago, but it was a very real concern for institutions like this, which we call total institutions. It's where people work, live, and play. And so it was really one occasion that we could use to unite our campus community. I mean, just imagine last year, no, not last year, 26 August 2017, the city's dams were 34% full. On 26 August 2019, the city dams are sitting at 81.8%. With the assistance of the Department of Higher Education and Training, we were able to mount a response to the water crisis. And today we are able to see a part of that response. In 2017, the first boreholes were sunk, and the construction of this plant began in August 2018 and was completed in March 2019. At the launch of the new offices for differently abled students, Ivatni Abrams reminded us that UWC is a first university. We are first in so many things. We were the first university to admit partially sighted physiotherapy students, which at the time represented a major headache for me when I was Dean of Community and Health Sciences. And without any background of how to deal with visually challenged students doing physiotherapy, we made it work. We were the first university that made it work. And today, another first. I mean, I don't know of any university in South Africa that will have such a world-class, state-of-the-art facility. Every day, we will be able to pump 500,000 liters of water into our reticulation network. Mani, I was just speaking to the chair and we were saying, let's not forget that that is 500,000 liters of water that we won't be paying the city for. This facility, combined with our water generator at the back of the administration building, will ensure a measure of self-sufficiency if the need ever arises again. With these innovations, we give new meaning to being regarded as the greenest campus in South Africa. The Times Higher Education Impact Rankings, which is a measure of how universities contribute to these Sustainable Development Goals, ranked UWC in the top 100 of institutions across the world. If they do this ranking next year again, this edition will certainly put us in the top 50. These water-producing sites, the atmospheric one behind the admin and this plant, speaks to the foresight and the vision of the institution, and I'm deeply appreciative for all of those who work together on making this a reality, and in particular the leadership of Mr. Mani Regal in ensuring that these dreams do become a reality. Thank you, and once again, you are very welcome at the university.
Thank you very much for that, Professor Pretorius. I don't know how many universities have, I think we won the Greenest Campus Award. I'm looking at my colleagues at the back 3 times. And we also the only campus with a nature reserve. And we also, in terms of development, I often tell the story, and it's Professor Brian O'Connell's story to tell about the life sciences faculty that's the biggest on the continent, and it was a dream of his. I think at UWC, today you're coming to celebrate the water project with us, but we definitely, like our rector shared, we've been the first at many, and from a campus sustainability and an innovation perspective, we've really proven ourselves as a university that was meant to be situated in the bush. I'm now going to introduce a video story of the project before I call up Mr. Mani Regal to give us a few comments. So if you can just watch the screens on either side, I think it's about 2.5 minutes, and then we'll call up Mr. Regal to respond. Thank you.
There's apparently something wrong with the sound.
sorry about the sound, but I think we all got a great idea of what the plant looks like. The plant is behind me. You know, after the break, you'll be able to do a walk around. There was some interesting information, technical information. But I know that my colleagues, Mr. Mani Regal and Mr. Ramchanda, will do justice to explaining that to us further. So I'm going to call Mani Regal now, who's going to come share a few words with us. Thank you, Mani.
Good afternoon, welcome, and all protocols observed. Did you hear the silence when that video was playing? It's just, that's how quietly that plant runs. Our Vice-Chancellor and our former Vice-Chancellor has to leave within the next 10 or 15 minutes, so if you see them walking out inconspicuously, they are well excused. Just a few points to note. The first one is that I really went on a water lesson as we embarked on this project, because I thought I knew a lot about water until we started. And one of the things is that the climate change is real. Right? Climate change is happening, and as usual, as human beings, the first thing we would respond to is it won't happen in our lifetimes, it's in some future generation. But it's happening to us. And so we acknowledge that we've got to do something about this. And then also what's interesting that we have observed over the last few, 2 years, is that Cape Town as a city is being used as a metaphor of drought when you look at different articles. So it's quite scary to see how people are referring to Cape Town as what we would dub as day zero. So that was quite interesting for us to note. And we've got lots of people now interested in coming to the University of the Western Cape, and in particular, the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And perhaps they want to take a gamble with the water with us. Yeah? But very keen on understanding what we do as a university with respect to water, and as a city, what the city does with respect to how we conserve and get change with respect to human behavior. And then I want to say I'm very proud of this plant. It's a ushering in just a new era of water resource management within the University of the Western Cape. A good example for the rest, and perhaps it's just the way to go. I was very, very anxious about it, because I thought that we would have sinkholes. You know, when you start, because I didn't know much about this, I thought if you pump water out of the ground is going to give in. And we have confirmed, and through our water research project at UWC, and with our specialists on the project, we have confirmed that there's a safety net with respect to how much you can pump from underground. And the safety net associated with this is that you can pump 12 liters per second. So I can't comprehend that as to how fast that is, but 12 liters per second is the safety net that we can pump, and that's over 2 million liters per day that we could generate. That's the safety net, and UWC is only going to limit it to 500,000 liters per day. So we will not exceed it, so it's about 25% of the safety net, so there will be no sinkholes, I can promise you that. Lastly, I want to just talk about the policy. We've taken a very serious position with respect to policy, and we say that this is all about being self-sufficient. This is about us taking responsibility for the future, and that it is very important to us that as it does affect our health, our livelihoods, our functioning of our ecosystems, the environment, development. And then lastly, if I can finish with this, that we all can see the water, the purification plant behind us, but there's also, and the director mentioned that the atmospheric water generator. We call it just air to water because it sounds easier to say. But it is, and the way it is generated is that it's an extraction. So you extract it, you condensate it, Then you filtrate it, then ultraviolet it, then you mineralize it, then you blend it, then you store it, and then you distribute it, and then you tag it, and then you like it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Regal. I think when you listen to the partnerships that Mr. Regal mentioned, you can understand that as a university, we are connected to the community, we are connected to the environment, we're connected to stakeholders, City of Cape Town, just a vast array of stakeholders and the partnerships that we form at UWC. It's important for universities to be able to fill the legitimacy gap in terms of what do we do and what are the contributions that we make in terms of sustainability. And I think today is a good example of how we're doing that at UWC. And now I'd like to call up Jairaj Ramchanda. He's and like the rector said, I must get the title right, he's the Director of Infrastructure Engineering, Infrastructure and Engineering. Jairaj is one of my peers, I just normally know him as Jairaj. But I'd like to call him up to come and share with us his journey and his involvement in terms of developing this plant. Thanks, Jairaj.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honourable members, we too had a dream, and if you look through the windows, you can see it. It is my pleasure to speak with you today very briefly about this plant. And I want to start by saying that between the dams filling up nicely and the way in which we have modified our behaviors and our patterns of water usage, we might be forgiven for thinking that all is well. However, we still live in a water-stressed country, and level 3 water restrictions are still in place. It has been estimated that within the past 100 years, water use has been growing at more than twice the rate of the human population. Between this phenomenon and the climate change that Mr. Regal has alluded to, the probability of going back to the good old days is receding, and very fast. And that is what makes these projects so significant. There are two things about this particular project which I would like to share with you, and they relate to the values of the team that put this together. The technical stuff I think you can get when you're walking around and touring the plant, and there are obviously more technically literate people than me in this audience. The first one is inspiration. It's an inner desire and a motivation to do something rather than just watching from the sidelines. It emanates from what we have here at UWC, a can-do spirit that inhabits the culture and DNA of the place. This is what enables us to consider possibilities, to take risks, to craft solutions out of what we have, rather than bemoaning what we do not have. And it embodies a mindset that responds to adversity with ingenuity and with industry. The second value is one of innovation. You'll find that both these plants are highly technologically advanced. They are class leading in design, in technology, and in their overall efficiency. I would humbly say that being able to produce 500,000 liters of drinkable quality water every day, using existing and free resources, is not a mean achievement. It should also be noted that both projects carried a measure of risk. There was technical risk, there was financial risk, and were also completely new to us in terms of the approaches that were being considered. So in conclusion, I want to say to you, as Mr. Regal has already said, climate change is a reality. Future rainfall cycles and drought cycles are unpredictable. These projects don't solve the entire problem, but they do go some way to reducing the burden on current and, most importantly, future generations at UWC. I think the real value of these projects will not be felt in the short term, but as succeeding generations come and are able to benefit from this, then they might reflect on what then will be the true success of this project. Thank you.
Gesant and Ashira, I hope you took note of the eloquence that J. Raj presented here. So if you're looking for somebody to represent UWC in terms of opinion pieces or radio interviews, I think we found a new person. Thank you very much for that. I think we sometimes forget the people component and the values component in terms of the I can do attitude. I'd now like to call Xanthia Limburg. She's from the Mayoral Committee, a member of Water and Waste. And as somebody said earlier on, I remember throughout 2018 listening to your voice on the radio, keeping us up to date in terms of Day Zero, educating us about many things that I think many of us have just taken for granted. So welcome to UWC, and we look forward to your contribution.
Good afternoon to the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Pretorius, other University of Western Cape officials, and all other stakeholders who have made today possible. On behalf of the Executive Mayor, Dan Plato, I really want to thank you for allowing the City of Cape Town to form part of this very special day. We're incredibly proud of what you've been able to achieve. Many of the speakers before me spoke about the very severe drought that the city is slowly emerging from. It has been termed a 1 in 590-year event, with 2017 being the lowest level of rainfall that we received in over 100 years. At the height of the drought, dam levels reached just below the 19% mark, and a year on from that, we are looking at dam levels today currently being at 82%. And so yes, we are incredibly fortunate that we've received wonderful rainfall during our winter period, but I think that we should still be alarmed by the fact that 2019 rainfall patterns are still below the long-term average. In addition to this, we are now operating in an environment with great unpredictability and uncertainty, as we no longer receive long-term rainfall predictions, which makes planning in advance incredibly difficult. And this is why we collectively have to be far more proactive in our approach around our scarce resource such as water. And I think the city has been able to achieve a significant amount, having reduced its water consumption from about 1.2 to between 1.2 and 1.5 billion litres of water to just below the 500 million litre mark during 2018. We are now considered the world water saving capital of the world. And we could not have achieved that without our residents, businesses, and other stakeholders. So we really want to thank you for working with Cape Town and being part of Team Cape Town's efforts. But the drought has also taught us many key lessons. One is that water-wise needs to be the new normal, and I think that Cape Townians have proven that they're able to do so. But the other key important lesson the drought has taught us is the need for diversification. We're far too dependent on surface water in the form of rainfall, and in light of this becoming far more scarce and unpredictable as we go forward, we need to ensure that we invest in alternative non-surface water solutions. And so Cape Town, in the city administration, we are definitely putting plans in place to do so. But as the drought has taught us, we cannot do it alone. And so this is why today's event is so incredibly important, because it's institutions of this nature who are also leading that journey around resilience and sustainability. And we want to commend you for your foresight and for your efforts and for recognizing how important resilience and greater sustainability and water security is for your institution and for the city which you exist within. We're incredibly proud, and you can continue to count on us as a key partner to ensuring that the University of the Western Cape continues to lead the way and ensure that many others can learn from you. So thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you very much for that. Mr. Regal, you said 30 minutes. It's 3 o'clock. I'm going to call you up to do the vote of thanks now, and that will bring us to the end of our formal proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlene. Now, usually when you do the vote of thanks, then there's always the risk you're going to leave out a name. So I do apologize in advance if I don't mention the names. But just to the UWC leadership, say thank you very much for your foresight. I know Professor O'Connell was part of the leadership, he's just left. Our members of council, our chair is with us today. We say thank you for your leadership and foresight in this and your support. And then I also want to say thank you to the city and all its officials. Ms. Anthea Limburg, you have no idea how difficult it is. It's ups and downs. It's a new concept. We're trying to feel our way through it. And we understand that there's different officials that we need to speak to. But I do specifically want to say thank you to Nokozolo Shlongo, the head of the policy and regulations of the City of Cape Town, water management, water demand management, and also Mr. Shahid Solomon from that department. Thank you for all your support. It was difficult from your side and from our side. We were trying to meet each other. It's as I said before, it's new. And it will evolve, and UWC will be the example of how it will evolve for the future. I also want to say thank you to Mr. Francois Pisser from CSV Construction, they did the civil work. I didn't know there's lots of civil work involved in a plant like this. Mr. Randall Abrams and Karen of Vukani Architects, they were the architects for the pump house. Brandon Berghoff from Royal House Koning. Royal House Koning were the principal agents and also project managers, and it's about a team of 9 of them. So I say to all of you and your, to the entire teams, Mr. Musa Ndlovo, Mr. Dirk de Vos, Mr. Herman Smith from Quality Filtration Systems. I know they were here earlier, I just can't see them, that they are the main contractors. They built the plant. Okay, so they physically brought their teams in and built the plant. Then there's also, if I should not forget to mention Mr. Bushle Bavuma of the City of Cape Town as well, that assisted in the process. Then also Mashloko Maholo Bela of Lasole Investment Holdings, the installation contractors. Mr. David Fulton, the Aqua de la Area suppliers of equipment, and Dr. Yakun Nel, the UWC Department of Water and Research. I think those was that included the air-to-water generator, atmospheric water generator. Air-to-water sounds good. There's a number of people that I didn't mention, and I do apologize for that. I cannot say all the names. But I want to say a special thank you to the University of the Western Cape internal team, the Risk and Compliance, Mr. Bentley Jefter, our Director for Risk and Compliance, and his team, Mr. Ramchanda, Jairaj Ramchanda, and his team, Rashad Muson, he was the internal project manager. And in case you didn't know, if we had any problems, we'd go to him, and it's not always an easy engagement. And he accepted it in good spirit. And I think you all know what it's like when there's a building project or any form of refurbishment. It's not always the easiest thing to deal with. And we say thank you to both of them and their team for accepting it in good spirit. And then lastly, to all our stakeholders, and I may have mentioned, left out quite a few, our procurement department, finance, budgets. It wasn't easy. You know, when there's a return on investment calculation, we were told it's not about the money, it's about the qualitative resource management. Okay? And so it was difficult for our finance to understand that it's not about the saving, it's about the actual qualitative resource management. There are many, many others that I am not mentioning, and I do apologize, and I say to you all, thank you so much for your support in this. Thank you to our main stakeholders, the city, the Department of Higher Education and Training, Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. And just so you, our business development team, we were talking about how we can bottle the water, and we had to stop them from trying to sell it. It was a wonderful project, wonderful learnings for us. And we say that we are forever grateful for ushering in a new leadership with respect to water use. I thank you all. All the best.
Thank you, Mr. Regal. There's some refreshments available. Network, engage, chat to each other. The plant's behind me. Are people able to access the plant?
It's a short tour.
Okay, so there'll be a short tour if any of you would like to go on that. Thank you very much for coming to share your afternoon here at UWC, and I look forward to meeting all of you again in the near future. Thank you.